Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal. I'm Tyler Kivi, a third-generation trucker, and my purpose is simple: to make sure the definition of trucking doesn't get lost in the culture this industry is drifting toward. This podcast is about real stories, the hard lessons, and the standards that built this business long before apps and algorithms. If you believe trucking is more than freight and its responsibility, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler, and I'm your host. Today, I want to talk directly to the new drivers in the industry. And this is for those drivers that are trying to figure it out once you've got your foot in the door, right? Not necessarily how to get your CDL, but that gray area between getting experience so people can hire you. Like, how do you get the experience if nobody will hire you? And how do you get hired if you don't have experience, right? And there's a lot of drivers trying to figure that out. And then that also couples with, where do you belong? Where do you want to be as a driver? Because there's so many opportunities, but yet many drivers find themselves in a trap, unsure of what to do. And because the truth is, being a new driver can be extremely frustrating. I know that from the conversations that I have with drivers. Everybody wants you to have that experience I was talking about, but nobody wants to be the one to give you the chance or the experience. And that's the biggest challenge for drivers in trucking today. And it's because insurance companies want experienced drivers. They couple all the data that they have with your age or your experience, and they set parameters around that. And they want you to be successful, but they know a lot of times those first 2 years of your experience are very volatile and things happen. A lot happens in those first couple years. But then the carriers, they start to get trained that we want experienced drivers. We start to see that drivers understand what the job really is. They're understanding where they can park. They've got the experience of traveling across the country and seeing all these places, and they're much more comfortable. But how do you get that if nobody's willing to give you a chance? It's a hard gray area. And there's usually 3 ways somebody got into trucking. You either grew up around it, and that's how it works for me. You know somebody in the industry that's willing to help you out. So maybe you have a cousin or an uncle or somebody, or maybe even you didn't work on a farm growing up, but you get your chance to be on a farm. Or I've seen mechanics come into shops when you work at a diesel shop, and you get the opportunity to start driving the truck. Next thing you know, you get your license, or you sign on with a company-sponsored school. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfect way to get your CDL. And honestly, sometimes it's the best way because they teach you the right way right out the gate. And a lot of good drivers start that way. We have a lot of drivers that started that way. You sign your contract, you put in your year, maybe it's 2 years, you learn the basics, you get experience. That's part of the journey. But like I said, there's that gray area after that. Maybe you're at 8 months and you're trying to find a company and they want you to have a year. Or maybe you're at a year and the company you're interested in wants 2 years. What do you do? How do you bridge that gap? And I also want to talk about setting yourself up for success as a driver. So it's not just for us, but it's setting yourself up for a driver. And think about this. Maybe you got your license and you did some local work. For me, that's how I put in my first year of time. Well, actually from 18 to 21. So first 3 years, not just 1 year, but I got to ride with people and experience all parts of the country before I was even 21. But it started out doing local work. Now, maybe that's your case. Maybe you're doing local work and you're coming up on your year, 2 years, and you're like, what do I do? You're interested in something else. Now you got to decide what's the best fit for you. Or maybe you've been doing short regional runs and you're starting to get that itch to go see the country, go see the other coast or wherever you live, north, south, west, east, who knows? Maybe you've been doing dedicated freight. There's all kinds of things when you think of like food, frozen food or, lumber, or maybe intermodal, who knows? But you're sitting there going, what's next? What is my next opportunity? I want to preface that, of course, the world is your oyster, right? But summer is your opportunity right now. There's so much to learn as a driver that wants to experience the road, and the best time is to do it during the summer. Now, speaking on the side of flatbed, freight picks up, construction starts moving, and road work, and all of these buildings are getting put up. And you can build things when the ground isn't frozen, and opportunities expand. And so if you're looking at going into the flatbed side and maybe you've never done that, there's no better time to get involved in the summer. Roads are dry. You're not dealing with wintry conditions or ice. You don't have to worry about gelling up. I mean, there's so many other variables that come with winter. So if you're looking to expand, the summer is the perfect time. Find those truck stops that you're common, that are common along your route, or just get familiar with being gone and doing it when you have more daylight, because that is a safer approach. And I think sometimes we naturally get the itch when it gets nice out to go, but you should really consider it if that's where you see yourself headed. Look at the summer. You have a few months that are the most valuable to you, and you need to take advantage of it, because that's where you're going to see more, you're going to learn more, you're going to grow your confidence, and that's where the experience matters in this industry. Now, let me say this clearly. Don't chase shiny things. There's so many drivers that fall for a flashy ad or promise of huge money. And what happens when you do this is you find yourself in this revolving door of leaving a company after 1 month, 3 months, a few months somewhere else. And eventually your resume is 4 pages long. And in trucking, that matters. We look at that. We pay attention to that. Now, that's not to say that you won't get picked up somewhere, but people start to lose trust or faith in your ability. And I don't think you as a driver really get to understand that company that well. And remember, maybe you've never had anybody look at your reports because it's been irrelevant for the job you were doing to get your license. But there is a report called a DAC report. That's where companies submit information on if you abandoned the truck or you executed your job to the best of your abilities or not. Your PSP, your work history, right? Your safety record. All of this is stuff that we look at. Can you stick it out, right? Can you commit? Can you build tenure? Those are things that you want to do as a driver. Like I've said it so many times. I mean, you almost can pick this up in every single episode. That is where drivers do the best. They build some tenure. They build a relationship. They get to know the company gets to know them, and your stability and your professionalism and your reliability all flourish. And so that doesn't mean your first company has to be your one and only, right? It doesn't have to be your forever home, but it does mean that you should slow down and think carefully what your next company is going to look like. On a company that fits your lifestyle. Are you looking for a company that's maybe got older leadership? Are you looking for a company with younger leadership that's maybe more energetic or fits around the age that you are? And so that you can understand what they're thinking and they understand what you're thinking. What's your personality like? What type of freight do you want to haul? Do you not care if it's flatbed freight to any type, or do you want a certain type of freight? Or where's their lanes, right? Where are they running? Where do you live? How often do you want to be home? Do you have a family? Does it matter? Some drivers love to just drive. Like once they're in there, they're like, keep the momentum rolling. Do not slow me down. Some have schedules that they got to adhere to. But do your research. Talk to other drivers. Talk to their recruiters. Ask real questions about their home time and their equipment and their lanes. Where are you headed? What are your expectations of me as a driver? What's the culture like there? Because it isn't just about finding a truck. And I often hear that too, right? Oh, I was broke down all the time, right? Well, trucks are mechanical. And so you have to understand that things will break. And of course, a lemon is a lemon, but in the reality of it, trucks are mechanical. You start to see a trend. Oh, I broke down, the mechanics or equipment sucked. Well, you didn't stick it out. Now you're starting over again. Financially, it's hammering you because you can't get any momentum built outside of the truck breaking down, right? You're starting a new company. You have an orientation. Now you got to figure them out. And then are they the right fit or are they not? So with that being said, I'm going to say stick it out. Once you find a place that feels right, put in the time. Get to know the leadership. Find out how you can elevate yourself. Give it 6 months. Learn the job and build those relationships with the dispatchers and the drivers and leadership and earn the trust and develop your skills. Really, that's the biggest opportunity. Build your toolbox and get your skill set sharp. And because the drivers that are doing that are the ones that are successful. And they're the ones planting roots. So keep your record clean. Pay attention to that. Do not be getting so confident that you start to slip in your first 2 years. It is amazing when we look at the record of a driver, and this is kind of a common thing, is they have a lot on there for only being in the industry for 2 years. Think about accidents. I've seen a lot of like rollovers. Just like those are traumatic type of accidents. And how is it happening so often? Are the insurance companies the right ones, or are you going to prove them wrong? Right? So keep your CDL clean, protect that PSP, protect your reputation, because your record's going to follow you everywhere. And of course, you can escape it quickly, and oftentimes somebody will overlook it. But are those the companies you want to go after? Because one careless decision can close doors fast. Clean record, well, that creates opportunity. And so if you're a new driver listening to this, I want to encourage you. The industry can create a great life. There's a lot of opportunity here. You have to approach it with patience. Don't rush the process. Learn, grow, stay consistent, and build your reputation. Because over time, you'll find your place in this industry. You'll find what your groove is. And so please, at the end of the day, remember, the best careers in trucking usually aren't built overnight. And with that being said, you can see with experience, it doesn't happen overnight. And it's built mile by mile and doing that safely. That's your decision by decision. You can never let your guard down as a truck driver. There's so many decisions you have to make. You need to be sharp and you need to be alert. And you have to do that year after year. And so thanks for listening to Keep Trucking Personal. Look forward to the next one. Appreciate you tuning in. If you got value out of this, subscribe and send it to someone who takes pride in the job. We're not just moving freight, we're shaping the culture. Catch you on the next one.